Hi, welcome to a TBR video. This one's going to start a bit different, so it's going to be probably a little shaky or anything, but I have my elbow propped up on the desk. Okay, there, now I'm not so cut off. Anyway, this one takes place, I found on Twitter. Well, it's not Twitter anymore, it's X. So I found it on that social media platform. This readathon is called Gothtober. This is a build your own TBR. So I have found the link to, you're basically playing a little game to build your own TBR. So let's figure out what the prompts are, and then I will pick the books, and then I'll come back and tell you what it is. So I'm going to hold this because I don't really have a way to film what's on my computer, but I do have this pulled up. I did try to get this pulled up on my phone, but it's not compatible with playing on your phone, at least for an iPhone. I don't know if it's going to be different for like an Android, but it's not compatible with an iPhone. So I have to do it on the desktop or a laptop computer. So I've got my desktop, I have it pulled up, and let's go ahead and go through the options. So this is Gothtober Creature Feature. So here it is. So Gothtober Creature Feature, there's my mouse. Okay, so we're gonna start. Where is your lair? Dracula's castle, the morgue, or the swamp? I'm gonna go with Dracula's castle because I love vampires. Choose your head. Headless, Mothman, or the Black Lagoon head? I'll go headless. What is my right arm? A robot arm, a tentacle, or a werewolf claw? Let's go with werewolf claw. My left arm, is it webbed fingers, a hook, or a ghostly arm? I'm gonna go with ghostly. What are my legs? A snake body, body innards, or bird feet? Definitely not body innards. I'll go with bird feet. What is above my head? Angel eye mask, twig head dress, or horns? I guess I'll go with horns. And what is on my back? Kagoon, whatever the heck that is, bat wings, or a demon tail whip. Let's go with demon tail whip. Okay, here are my prompts. So I have BIPOC rep, disability rep, LGBTQ rep, scientist house, head empty, just vibes, fake dating, a book that haunts you, Asian mythology, smut or spice, and monster romance. Okay, so those are the prompts I have to work with. So let me see what I can do with those. So I will be back. One of the things I said was, when I was reading the prompts, was scientist house. It's actually sentient house. I read it wrong, so making that correction right now. But let's go ahead and get into the books that I will be reading for what prompts. So I've zoomed in a little bit more so that you can see the books a little bit better. They're not so far away. Now, let's go ahead and get in with the first prompt, which is BIPOC rep. Again, these are ones that I generated. They could be very different from what you get. So for this one, I'm going with either BIPOC rep. Well, it's representations of BIPOC rep. So Black, Indigenous, or person of color. I'm going with The Girl with Stars in Her Eyes by Zio Axelrod. And I'm going that this has, at the very least, Black representation in it because the character that you can see on the cover is Black. Next. So this is The Girl with Stars in Her Eyes by Zio Axelrod, and I have had this one for a little bit. I got this from a book box. Which book box was it? Will it say? No, I don't know which book box. I can't remember, but it did come with the signed book plate, so happy about that. Okay, let's go ahead and get into the synopsis. And I've been wanting to get to this for a bit, but I just haven't been able to get it to fit any prompts. And I'm not much of a mood reader, so it just hasn't worked out. But hopefully I will get to it this in October. It is growing up in dive bars all along the East Coast. Tony Bennett's guitar was her only companion, until she met Sebastian Quick. Seb was a little older, a lot wiser, and before long he was Tony's way out, promising they'd escape their stifling small town together. Then Seb turned 18 and split without looking back. Now Tony's all grown up and making a name for herself in Philadelphia's indie music scene. When a friend suggests she try out for a hot new up-and-coming band, Tony decides to take a chance. Strong, feminist, and fierce as fire, Tony B and the Lilies are the perfect match. Except Seb's now moonlighting as their manager. Whatever. Tony can handle it. No problem. Or it wouldn't be if Seb didn't still hold a piece of her heart, not to mention the key to her future. So it sounds really good. I've been wanting to get to this, so hopefully this will be more of a priority for October because I really want to get to this. All right, prompt number 2 is disability rep. For this one, I'm going more with a mental disability. This is classified, this particular disability I'm going with is classified under the ADA, so the American with Disabilities Act, something like that. And it's one that I have, and that is autism. So I'm going with Best Boy by Eli Gottlieb, I don't know. Anyway, so Best Boy. This is the October selection for the Autism Reads. The Discord is always in the description box, so please check it out if you are interested in joining. We read a book with autism rep in 2023. However, I am switching that up for 2024. It will be books by authors that are on the autism spectrum. So that's going to be the priority for 2024, is to highlight autistic voices via the authors. So Best Boy. This one says, Todd Aaron, a middle-aged autistic man whose rejiggered perceptions contain within them a deeply original intelligence. Living in a therapeutic community for autism since 11, Todd's daily life and routine are suddenly upended by the arrival of a menacing new staffer, a disruptive roommate, and a one-eyed new resident with romantic intentions. Undone by these pressures, Todd attempts an escape to return home to a childhood that now inhabits only his dreams. So, Best Boy. Prompt number 3 that I got is a book that has LGBTQ rep. So I know that this has LGBT rep. It is tagged on Goodreads, and that is A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon. I did read Pride of the Orange Tree shortly after it came out. Absolutely loved it, fell in love with it, so I'm really excited to get to this one. So A Day of Fallen Night. And this is the prequel to Priory of the Orange Tree. I need to put it down because it's heavy and it's messing with my tendonitis. So it's going to be down here instead of me holding up just because of how heavy it is. Tunuva Milim is a sister of the Priory. For 50 years, she has trained to slay worms, but none have appeared since the Nameless one, and the younger generation is starting to question the Priory's purpose. To the north, in the Queendom of Inez, Sabran the Ambitious has married the new king of Hroth, narrowly saving both realms from ruin. Their daughter, Glorian, trails in their shadow, exactly where she wants to be. The dragons of the east have slept for centuries. Dumai has spent her life in a Sychanese mountain temple, trying to wake the gods from their long slumber. Now, summoned from her mother's past, is coming to upend her fate. When the dread mount erupts, bringing with it an age of terror and violence, these women must find the strength to protect humankind from a devastating threat. So, that is A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon. Okay. Prompt number 4 is Sentient House. This is the one, when I first read it, I was thinking a scientist house, a scientific house or something like that. No, it's sentient. So, this one I had to do a bit of a research. So, I Googled it, and this is the definition that comes up from Goodreads. It says, sentient houses, books with houses, castles, or other buildings that respond to inhabitants' needs, or that even seem to think for themselves. I had no idea what a sentient house was. I've heard it before, but I had no idea. So there's a whole series listed under this on Goodreads, and that is the Harry Potter series. So that's what I'm going with. This is book number 3, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. So this is what I'm going with for Sentient House. The back of this one has the night bus on it. This is a slipcase. This one's going to be the UK English edition. For this particular edition of the books, the front of the cover is the night bus. I am listening to the audiobooks while I read along, and the audiobooks are in the American or the United States English edition, so there are a few verbal and phrasing differences, but not such a drastic thing that you don't understand what it is that they're trying to say. So it is still understandable. So this is what I am going with. So again, that's Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. So sentient houses. All right, I've moved the rest of the books that fit the prompts right in front of me. So prompt number 5 is head empty, just vibes. Holy cow, I had to rack up my brain. I'm like, what the heck? So I ultimately have decided to go with a book that's not going to have a lot of plot substance or sustenance, whatever the correct words are. Not a lot of plot development or character development. The point of this particular book is going to be just the vibes. In this case, they are sexual vibes. This is an erotica, okay? Be aware of that. This is book number 2 in the Valetti crime family series. I will show you in just a minute. I did read book 1, which that one was titled Dirty Dom. This is by Willow Winters, and I had a great time reading that. So I figure where this is just purely for the smut or sex in it, that'll fit the prompt. That's what I'm saying. So yeah, this is the Discreet series for book number 2. Now, Willow Winters herself, who is the author, has said on her YouTube channel in her shorts that you can read these in any order, but this one is part of a same world. It's just going to follow different perspectives. So the main characters are Vince and Ellie. And this is the Discreet series. I do like to get the one with the numbers on there, so I know that in publication order, what order they are in. I do prefer to read things in publication order if I can. Doesn't always work out, but that is my ultimate preference. But it's not the end-all be-all. So, Vince and Ellie. So there is nothing that gives away what type of a book you're reading on the front, nor on the back. The back just says the Discreet series. So, the title, so when you open it up, you have a page of flowers. The next page says the characters' names, Vince and Ellie. And then the next page has the title. So the title of this one is called His Hostage. This, at least the first book, is a dark mafia romance. I'm expecting where this is the same Valetti family, that it will also be a mafia. This one does say, yeah, and it does say it's a standalone, so you can read this in any order, but whenever I hear it's part of the same world, that is just my preference to read it in order. So, the synopsis is also on the inside of the book. And I like the look of the Discreet. I think they're very simple, and the more simple the cover generally, usually I like, and is my preference. Okay, so the synopsis reads, now do keep in mind this is erotica, so definitely 18 or older. I was innocent before him, and he wanted nothing more than to ruin me. And if I'm honest, I wanted him to, even knowing I shouldn't. I knew he was a bad man. It doesn't take more than a single look to know it. Dark eyes and a charming smile that's made to fool girls like me. Still, I caved. I gave into temptation. And then I saw something I shouldn't have. Wrong place, wrong time. The mafia doesn't let witnesses simply walk away. Regret has a name, and it's Vincent Valetti. He won't let them kill me, but he's not going to let me go either. Okay? So this is going to have a lot of triggers in it, so do be aware of that. I don't know what the triggers are, but yes. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the next prompt, which I got was fake dating. So I did a Google search for some of these to confirm what trope is in these books, because I don't really know and look into that. This book came up listed as that it does have fake dating, and it does sound like that according to the synopsis, and that is The X Talk by Rachel Lynn Solomon. It says, Shay Goldstein has been a producer at her Seattle public radio station for nearly a decade, and she can't imagine working anywhere else. But lately, it's been a constant clash between her and her newest colleague, Dominic Yoon, who's fresh off a journalism master's program and convinced he knows everything about public radio. When the struggling station needs a new concept, Shay proposes a show that her boss greenlights with excitement. On the X Talk, two exes will deliver relationship advice live on air. Their boss decides Shay and Dominic are perfect co-hosts, given how much they already despise each other. Neither loves the idea of lying to listeners, but it's this or unemployment. That's where I think the fake dating comes in. So they're not really dating, but they're acting like they're dating on the radio. So anyway, their audience gets invested fast, and it's not long before the X Talk becomes a must-listen in Seattle and climbs podcast charts. As the show gets bigger, so does their deception, especially when Shay and Dominic start to fall for each other. In an industry that values truth, getting caught could mean the end of more than just their careers. Okay. All right, prompt number 8 is Asian mythology. Again, I had to do a Google search because I don't know really anything about any mythology, so I never know, or no, I skipped the prompt. We'll come back to that one. Okay, so number 7 is a book that haunts you, and then it's the Asian mythology. So a book that haunts you, that's what I'm talking about now. So this one, I read a novella. It was like a prequel novella, and I've been wanting to get to the official book. It's not really a series, it is a standalone, but with the prequel novella, it could be considered a series. And I've been wanting to get to this, and it's just been in the back of my mind. I don't have to get to this. You need to pick it up. I know you're going to like it. Pick it up. But I just haven't picked it up again. Haven't been able to get to fit any prompts. Or if I did, I just ran out of time to be able to get to it. So it's been haunting me as far as that goes. And that is Into the Drowning Deep by Mira Grant. Now, for those of you who may not know, Mira Grant is a pen name for Shannon McGuire. So the author is Shannon McGuire, but Mira Grant is a pen name. This one says, 7 years ago, the Autogratis set off on a voyage to the Marina Trench to film a mockumentary bringing to life ancient sea creatures of legend. It was lost at sea with all hands. Some have called it a hoax. Others have called it a tragedy. Now a new crew has been assembled. Some seek to validate their life's work. Some seek the greatest hunt of all. Some seek the truth. But for the ambitious young scientist, Victoria Stewart, this is a voyage to uncover the fate of the sister she lost. So this has been haunting me because I've been wanting to get to this, and I just have not had the chance to pick it up. So now for the Asian mythology. So this one, I did a Google search, and according to Goodreads, this does have Asian mythology. That's what I'm going with. If you know for sure, let me know. But I'm just going with what I found online. And the book that I selected for this one is Shadow of the Fox by Julie Kagawa. So, got this one in a book box too. Which one? Well, tell me. I have a letter from the author. Dear reader, I don't remember what box it was. It has a bookmark and an art print. Anyway, yeah, I don't remember what box this came in, but okay. Let's go ahead and get into the synopsis for this one. It says, 1,000 years ago, the great Kami dragon was summoned to grant a single terrible wish, and the land of Gothtober was plunged into an age of darkness and chaos. And I apologize. I know I'm going to be saying names and places wrong, so I do apologize for that. Continuing on, it says, now for whoever holds the scroll of 1,000 prayers, a new wish will be granted. A new age is about to dawn. Raised by monks in the isolated Silent Winds Temple, Yumiko has trained all her life to hide her yokai nature. Half kitsune, half human, her skill with illusion is matched only by her penchant for mischief, until one day her home is burned to the ground. Her adoptive family is brutally slain, and she is forced to flee for her life with the temple's greatest treasure, one part of the ancient scroll. There are many who would claim the dragon's wish for their own. Kage Tatsumi, a mysterious samurai from the Shadow Clan, is one such hunter, under orders to retrieve the scroll at any cost. Fate brings Kage and Yumiko together with a promise to lead them to the scroll. An uneasy alliance is formed, offering Yumiko her best hope for survival. But he seeks what she has hidden away, and her deception could ultimately tear them both apart. With an army of demons at her heels and the unlikeliest of allies at her side, Yumiko's secrets are more than a matter of life or death. They are the key to the fate of the world itself. So, Shadow of the Fox. It's about time I got to this one. Okay, just 2 more prompts, but I only have 1 physical book in front of me. So, prompt number 9 is smut or spice. So for this one, I am going with one that I looked up that does say an author's note that there are sexually explicit scenes in this. So, and that is Hooked by Emily McIntyre. So, spice, smut, whatever. It says, James has always had one agenda, destroy his enemy, Peter Michaels. When Peter's 20-year-old daughter, Wendy, shows up in James's bar, he sees his way in. Seduce the girl and use her for his revenge. It's the perfect plan until things in James's organization begin to crumble. Suddenly, he has to find the traitor in his midst, and his plan for revenge gets murkier as James starts to see Wendy as more than just a pawn in his game. Wendy has been cloistered away for most of her life by her cold, wealthy father, but a spontaneous night out with friends turns into an intense and addictive love affair with the dark and brooding James. As much as she knows James is dangerous, Wendy can't seem to shake her desire for him. But as their relationship grows more heated and she learns more about the world he moves in, she finds herself unsure if she's falling for the man known as James or the monster known as Hook. Now, when I first picked this up, I thought this was a Peter Pan retelling. It is not. In the author's note, it does say this is a fractured fairy tale. So it is not a retelling. What's the words it use? Not a fantasy, not a retelling. And the main character is a villain. Okay, so do be aware of that. If you want, the author suggests going in blind as far as any potential triggers or anything, but if you do need to know the triggers in the book, she does list her website so that you can go to the website, which is emilymcintyre.com, to get a full list of triggers in the book. So now this final one, I'm going to have to insert an image. So the prompt that I got, this last prompt I got is monster romance. I don't physically own anything that's classified as monster romance from what I could see with doing some searching. So I'm doing an ebook, and the ebook I have selected is Run and Hide by Beatrix Hollow. The synopsis reads, so I do have it pulled up on Goodreads here. Monsters, shadows, gills, wings, and more. The things I fear crave me. And they've been here the whole time, hiding, waiting, and wanting, lurking, sneaking, and watching. Traveling the country, camping was supposed to be an escape from the strange and unusual that clings to my family. My family's calling to fame terrifies me. The ghosts, the hauntings, the supernatural. I want nothing to do with it. Too bad it wants everything to do with me. Where did the trip first go wrong? Maybe an old friend with dark secrets insisted on coming. A rising rock star whose fame is now putting me in the limelight. Then there is the West Virginia local legend, a monster myth of cryptid fame, a campfire story. But there are those that believe that are willing to do whatever it takes to capture the monster in the mountains, maybe even use humans as bait, maybe even use me. Okay, now here's a note from the author. It says this is a monster romance with multiple love interests the female lead will not choose between. This is book 1 of a series and will be slow build, meaning not all love interests are introduced in book 1. Oh, good to know. Content warnings and tropes. Graphic violence and gore. Violence from outside the harem, so it's a reverse harem. Dubcon, I don't know what that is. Gun, knife, violence, death, murder, hauntings, ghosts, paranormal possession, kidnapping, captivity, cults, biting, cervical penetration, cum, cum inflation, abnormal anatomy, monster sex, praise, kink, squirting, excessive male fluids. So those are your trigger warnings on there. So this sounds like it's going to be very steamy, very spicy. So anyway, so that's the monster romance, and that's it. Those are the books that I have picked for the Gothtober. Are you participating? What are some of the prompts that you got? What books will you be reading to fulfill those prompts? Are there any other readathons that you're participating in? Let me know. Talk to me in the comment section below. And until next time, stay true to yourself and enjoy a good book. And I'll talk to you later.